seamless. No foot, no poking the screen. You weren't nervous?
I am nervous.
Look at that. Look at that.
And Kira, you've got the beepers and the sounds and all that done as well, yeah?
Yes, because that just came up and it didn't beep. Okay, happy days. Good morning, everybody.
Hi.
Happy Tuesday.
I'm so nervous.
I was really hopeful that she wasn't nervous this morning. She didn't say it to start with.
I just keep doing my belly breath here.
I love it.
Okay.
Right, so this morning's chat comes on the back of a couple of meetings I had with a few different clients, and it's all about women supporting women and women's groups, so clubs that ladies are part of, and the negative side of things, and when women don't decide to support women. So it's something we're pretty passionate about. You know, if you see someone who's in a bit of a rut, if you see a woman who's having an issue or who's down or who's feeling unsupported, then the easiest thing to do and one of the most powerful and kind things to do is help them.
Yeah.
Is lift them up. It's not rocket science. It costs nothing, and it makes another person feel really, really good.
Goes back to that thing of like, you know, just because it's used in religion, it's not necessarily like awful religious, but like treat somebody like the way that you'd like to be treated.
100%. They call that the golden rule. So the one rule that everybody should live by: do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And like you're saying, it goes back to religion, but it's not necessarily religious. It comes up in every single religion, and it comes up in everything that's good around life. And it's a beautiful thing to do. However, it doesn't often happen, or maybe it doesn't always happen. And I've been in a couple of women's groups, and sometimes there's just an element of clickiness, an element of bitchiness, and an element of you're not good enough. So if you're not in our group, our small little tight-knit group within a wider group of women, then you're not enough. You're not the person that we need you to be. You're not bowing down to the rules of the club, and therefore at times women can make each other's lives hell.
Yeah.
And the client that I was speaking to the other day was talking about the fact that in one of the clubs, a new person was taking a new role, and that person was acted against on purpose. Because she had opinions, and she had valuable opinions, and she was really lovely, and she was very caring, and she was very selfless. But because of who she was, the other women in the group decided that it was a good idea to drag her down. And they did so to the level where she actually required help. And when I heard this, and noticing the things that I've noticed over the past maybe 9 months within different groups that I'm in, it was a really, really rude awakening to think that any woman, anywhere, would want to cause another woman to feel like they had to go and seek help.
It just feels like you're back in the school playground again.
It's awful.
But it's worse because they're adults.
Yeah. You'd think at some point you grow up, and you cop on and you realise that kindness is one of the most incredible qualities that anyone can have. So I often wonder, why do women do this? And okay, so it comes back to being jealous. Are we jealous of each other? Do we have real issue with the fact that you have a nice car and I have a not nice car? Or you have a nice house and I have a not nice house? Or your husband is handsome and my husband isn't that handsome? Or your partner has a great job and my husband is a stay-at-home dad? What does it come to? Does it come down to my kids and your kids? Does it come down to family? Does it come down to status and recognition? And the things...
I think it all comes down to how you feel in yourself. If you feel inadequate, that's your stuff.
Totally.
So by you feeling inadequate, does that make it okay for you to go out into the world and treat everybody else in a less than position so that you can feel better in yourself in that moment? All because you feel inadequate.
100% not.
So it doesn't really matter what the objects are or what the things are or how the person looks. It doesn't matter what car you have, what house you have, whether you wear 4 pairs of sunglasses on your head or whatever the case is. If you feel inadequate in yourself, that's time for you to wake up and start looking at yourself and all the stuff that's going on for you and work with what you have. But the thing about it is that they don't want to work. with their own stuff.
That's it. They're not
Because
aware.
then they have to take responsibility. Oh, and dare something be wrong with them.
You can't blame anybody else when you become aware that you're at fault. And fault and blame are probably two wrong ways to describe it. But if you're being that way in the world, if you're actually being mean to another woman, being mean to other people for no reason, and that's what's at the back of this. That's what's at the back of all these women's clubs. Hi Phil, how's it going? The thing is, women talk about men's clubs all the time. We talk about the fact that the men get together and they go to the bar and they have drinks and they don't care about the women at home. And this isn't a men's bashing session. This is very much about women and about taking responsibility for the way that we behave when we're in circles of other women. We women can't speak and shouldn't speak about how men behave, because women can do it as well. And when you're in those circles and you're part of something like that, and I don't mean part of the clique, I mean part of the outside of it, and getting the looks, receiving that up and down, which I received last week. Hey Vida, how's it going? Mwah, God, I haven't seen you in donkey's ages. I miss you. I received it last week. Now I'm not going to say where or when, but I rocked up to something and walked in the door, and it was like a slap in the face. I walked in and I got the look up and down, the wrinkling of the nose, and the bare minimum of a greeting. And this would be with somebody that I have nothing to do with apart from knowing each other in circles. I've never had anything bad with her. I've never had any bad interaction whatsoever. And I could feel it coming off her in waves. And it was a beautiful moment to realize that I could disconnect from it completely, that I didn't have to take it on as my own, and that I knew it was her stuff and not mine, that it had nothing to do with me. I'm really lucky that I can do that. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of women who are in these situations who don't have that ability.
Yeah. Like me and you are so different. Like if I was in that situation, it would make me sick to my stomach. And then I would try in my power, it's okay, it's just this yolk, to try and avoid her at all costs. And then you see, because then I have my element of my fear and my worry and, you know, my own judgment about what did I do wrong? Why does she not like me? And then all this whole thing is building and festering in the middle, do you know what I mean? To something so big that actually could have been resolved very easily, you know, if they had come and talked to you about it or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I'd be worried for that if I was at a meeting or something, or a conference, and that person was there and I felt judged by them, then it would actually take away how I felt at that time and at that conference. I wouldn't be able to concentrate. I'd be worried. If I was to put paired up with her, I'd be so worried. Whereas with you, you can disconnect better. Whereas I'm so sensitive, I can't.
I wasn't always like that though. I've never been, oh, hey Ellen, we were just on Mastermind this morning together. We were, I wasn't always like that. It was a case that sometimes I'd walk into a room and if something happened, I'd go, oh, I really don't like that and I feel really uncomfortable and I need to find somebody else to be beside that will make me feel like I'm okay, that I won't be by myself and I won't be lost. So I understand where you're coming from and where all of these other women are coming from. And then I heard stories about this particular person and I thought, now I can see it. Now I can see that. And it wasn't stories like second and third hand information. It was coming from somebody who else had experienced it. But when I sat and I listened, there's been 3 stories that have come up over the last week. To each one of these women talk about the fact that they've been belittled, that they've been made to feel less than, that they've been made to question themselves, question their own existence, question whether what they're doing is right or wrong, question if they should be breathing at all. When I sit with people and I go, it's awful, it's insidious, it's the most horrible thing in the world, and I just don't get it. As women, we have an amazing power and we have the ability to connect on a level that nobody else does. And when we do connect and we sit in groups or we sit together and we're open and we're so authentic and we're ourselves and we connect with each other,
we can take on the world.
Shit happens. Good shit happens. And we make decisions and we find solutions.
Yeah.
And then you go into these circles and, hey Sharon, good morning, how's it going? And then you sit in these circles and you go, hold on a minute, this is not what I'm used to.
But what if this circle is yours? So what I mean by that is like people who set up a business, women who set up businesses, right? Why is it that when women, and this could happen for men, but I don't think so. Why is it then when a woman, a friend particularly, sets up a business, your friends don't support you in it? Your friends don't either use your service, they don't want to even acknowledge the fact that you've set up a business. I know I had a sign on my car for a long time, and okay, I had some interactions with people, but like an awful lot of people saw that. And they would stand beside you at the car and they wouldn't even acknowledge it. And they'd never ask you anything about it. They'd ask you everything but that. I know other women that were in the same boat and they wouldn't, or their family wouldn't acknowledge it. I know you set up your own business and you're one of these people that I admire that try a few different things in business. You know that you're always meant to be an entrepreneur. And yet, did you find that you got support from friends? Now, I know there are the minority of friends, but did you get any support from women particularly? You had a women's business, like you had a gym that had women going to it.
No, I found it very funny, and I always find it very funny, and it's conversations again that I would have had with a lot of different business women, and I think myself and yourself and another person have had a conversation too, that it is the weirdest thing when you do set up a business and everybody tells you how amazing it is that you've done it. Everybody tells you that they're going to support you, and nobody is there on the day. And you have to come to terms with the fact that women can be very unsupportive. And a lot of it comes down to jealousy, because it feels to me like, hey Roz, how's it going? It feels to me like if I'm doing well, then you feel like you're going to fail. They're not mutually exclusive. You can succeed at the same time I succeed. I can tell you you're amazing and you can tell me I'm amazing. But also I can tell her she's amazing and she doesn't have to say it back. It doesn't mean that she thinks anything bad of it.
Or I had a very interesting one that's happened a couple of times with another mother. So I think I told you about this before. I said to her, because I really felt this and I feel this still, this particular woman, there's many women, there's many of my friends out there, because God, you have to be so politically correct, and if any of my friends are watching, you're all great mothers, but this particular instance happened one time. I said to this mother, I said, oh my God, you're such a good mother, the way you sit with your kids, the way you play with them, the way I just thought she's just got a lovely nature with them, they've got a lovely bond together. And she was like, oh yeah, but like you're a good mother too, like, and and there was a few other things said as well, and I wasn't saying to her that she's a good mother because I felt less than. I was just saying to her what I actually saw, that you're a good mother and that you're very good at the kids and you have a lovely bond, but I wasn't putting myself down.
No.
But she saw it that way.
And nor were you looking for a half-handed compliment backwards. You were actually just telling her you're really good in the moment. It wasn't patronising, it wasn't condescending, it was really honest.
Yeah. And there's been a few situations like that with the same person, and like, Christ, we all need a psychology degree. Because I was thinking to myself, like, how could someone pick something up that way? Because I would pick it up the complete opposite way. And I don't know, I just can't get my head around communication sometimes when it comes to women. Men are a bit different. They're just black and white, they are what they are, and you don't have to be thinking, what are they thinking behind what they're saying?
Because usually it's fairly clear, bless their cotton socks, like they do, that's what they say and that's what they mean.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple,
stupid. But yeah, so back to the whole bonding thing or supporting thing and women's groups, like, I don't understand that element of people. I don't understand that element of women. We're worth so much more, and we could be doing so much more for each other and with each other. And I'd actually love to know if any of the women who are on this morning, and please feel free to comment, have ever felt that you've walked into a circle or a group or a club and there has been an element of, I don't belong here, because you've been shown that or given that impression by the people who were there.
Or for the men who are on here, if they have noticed walking into like a group of women, have they noticed the difference between how women work and operate together comparing to the men?
Yeah. And that is very interesting, because the other thing is, you know, for a long time I always thought that a group of women coming together was just going to be a lot of hassle, because it would have been my experience from a very young age. When more than 3 women are in company, there's some sort of bitching and some sort of a clique and something is happening.
Everybody says that.
Yeah.
If you ever hear like, oh, you're going to you work in a factory, or oh, I work with a bunch of women, what do they always say? Oh, women are bitches.
There's no smoke without fire. But then I was pleasantly surprised a couple of years back when I found a group of women and I thought they were fantastic people. And fast forward to this year and different groups of women that I'm involved in, and I'm kind of walking in the door going, oh, okay, so if it walks like a duck and it sounds like a duck, it's probably a duck. So it's really, I'd love to get to the bottom of it. I'd love to know where this unhealthy competition comes from, where this desire to pull other people down comes from. Because, okay, like we said in the beginning, if it comes from jealousy, that's your shit, not mine. If it comes from a feeling of lack, well, then that's your stuff. But people aren't aware, I don't think, of their behavior. And now some people are just bad eggs. And I'm sorry to have to say that, but some people are just out to do as much bad to other people as they possibly can. I'm not there for that. I'm not okay with it. And if I see it and I spot it, I will stand up for it and I will say it's not okay. And when I see somebody who is like a rabid dog trying to hurt somebody else, then I have a very big issue with that also. I'm not okay with it. I don't think that it's all right to gang up on someone.
No.
I don't think it's okay to use the word bullying, and it needs to be used in the right context, because I think people take it out of context and use it far too much.
And I don't think it's right either to use race or sexuality.
No, not
if
at all.
somebody is black, white, green, purple, it shouldn't matter. If somebody is gay, lesbian, heterosexual, or all the rest of the letters and numbers or whatever that comes with people nowadays, like, that should never ever be an issue.
No, jumping on that bandwagon is,
I think it's cowardly.
It is, and it's showing you as being less than. It's not. It's not showing you as being a strong person. It's, hey Karen, how's it going? How you doing? It's not showing you as being a strong person. It's not showing you as being who you think you're being.
No.
Because when you go and you decide to bully somebody else, right, and you decide that you're going to rip someone to shreds, you're going to pull them down, you've decided that what they're doing isn't, in your eyes, the right thing that they should be doing, or they're doing something wrong to you, and you decide to jump on the bandwagon and rip that person to shreds. The only thing you're doing to yourself is showing yourself to be an absolute a-hole.
Yeah. Right?
And people outside that will see it. The only problem is when you're stuck in the middle of it and you're the person that they're ganging up on. Yeah. It's really, really hard to continually work on yourself and say, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm enough, I'm plenty, what I'm doing is okay.
That can only work for a small period of time.
Exactly.
Eventually they chip you away till you've got absolutely nothing left. And this is where, like, mental health comes into it again. Like, you know, people end up being suicidal. I know I'm talking to somebody at the moment, and Jesus Christ, it's probably like,
hi Sia, thank you.
She's been made an absolute outcast in the town. She's been bullied by fucking men and women and this, that and the other, like, this woman who's amazing trying to run a business and that. And I'm not going to go into any details because not right now, but we might bring her on for a conversation sometime. It's absolutely ridiculous. I also think that if you see somebody being bullied, right, and you don't stand up for them, you're just as bad as the person who's bullying. And also, if you have a leader of your group who is the one who's bullying, and you stand back, standing with her in the crowd, or not saying anything and not doing anything, then you're just as big of an ass, excuse my language, I don't like to curse on these things, you're just as big of an ass to stand behind that bully because you're intimidated and you're afraid that you might be next. You've got to get out of the school playground thing and stand together as one and stand up for that shit. The only reason that person is bullying is because they were bullied so badly by themselves, by their parents or whoever the hell, and they're so badly hurt that they're not dealing with their shit. But underneath the bully is somebody who's very scared and very, very frightened. And we need to come together and support each other on this. Whether it's a club, whether it's a group, whether it's in a school, whether it's in an office, it doesn't matter what it is. Today is the main thing that we want to talk about women standing together and not getting ripped down by other women. It's disgraceful, and it has to end somewhere. So how do we stand together in a movement of that we're not going to put up with this anymore?
Well, I think I was at a coaching course a couple of years ago, and something that was said I found really, really moving. The coach said to us, the guy who was teaching us, he said, "Oh, you have a moral responsibility to stand up for what's right." And I sat there listening to that going, I've always aimed to do the right thing wherever possible, and it's always possible. And I've always been the kind of person who would stand up for the people who are being bullied. All through my school years, all through school, if I told you half of the stories, you'd laugh, I'd say, actually. And it's never changed from that. But hearing that word, so we have a moral responsibility as humans, each of us individually have a moral responsibility as humans to stand up for the people who can't stand up for themselves.
Yeah.
So no matter what you're seeing that's wrong, it's really important to give your help in any way possible. Now, put it into context. If there's somebody getting beaten up on the street, right, and you are a very frail, weak, I don't mean that you're a weak person, but you're not strong in your physical attributes. Do you go over and start beating up the person that's beating up the person? No. But what you do is you stand in the vicinity of, you call the guards, you ask the person who's being hurt, are they okay? You try and talk to them, you try and make them feel like they're a human being, and you help them. If you're in company with somebody who is ripping somebody else down, you stand up for it and you say, no, hang on a minute, don't say that. I've been in multiple conversations over the past 8 years with people who think it's okay to bitch about somebody else. And in those moments I've said, stop, you don't know what's going on, it's not your business, stop and say it. And 3 of those people would happily come up and say that's exactly what did happen. We have to do these things.
Yeah. I did that before when I started hairdressing. I was working in a salon in Galway, and I was in the staff room, and these girls went to town bitching on this nail technician girl, and really bad stuff, you know. And anyways, I opened up my mouth. I was only in this premises like not that long working, you know, and I basically said to them, like, you know, I don't appreciate them, you know, bullying her like that, bitching about her, and that it possibly isn't true, and this, that and the other, and just tell them that I'm not going to accept them doing that. Oh my God, right? So one of the girls was a receptionist, and in that place they took all the bookings. Sorry, my ears just popped there. She took all the bookings for all us hairdressers. I was pretty much made redundant. I had no customers coming into me. I got put aside by management then and asked how come I've got nobody coming into me to get their hair done. And then it was when it was addressed then with the receptionist, she said, oh, but we always fill, like, say, the senior ones first, and then we work our way down through, so it just hasn't filtered down to you. And I was explaining to them what exactly happened to the management, but because I was a newbie in there and they've been in there and they're such good workers, nothing got done about it. And then they stopped speaking to me in there, and that was my new place of work. And I'm just like,
but look at that's pack mentality. That is pack mentality. You came in, you opened your mouth, you said the wrong thing. The ranks literally closed without you inside them, and it was very easy then to push you out and away.
Yeah,
it's a horrible thing. That's the way that should be done. Is if you're an a-hole and you're doing the bullying, that's when the ranks should close, and you should mind the person who's being bullied, and you should address the bully and say that's not okay. I don't know why we feel safer being on the side of the bad rather than being on the side of the good.
Because we know what it's like to be bullied. So it's better shut your mouth and say nothing, because dare you be bullied.
But so this is a bit like, okay, let's open a small little tiny little can of worms. It's a bit like the government and voting. Everybody votes for the same government to come in, and then everybody complains that the government doesn't do what they're supposed to do. Do you see how I said everybody? The government is this many people. Everybody is millions of people, right? So the big group has the opportunity to change things, but the small group is the group that's changing things, right? It's exactly the same in a situation like this. The person who's bullying is one person, but they have control of the whole situation. And usually the person who's bullying, normally in a situation, there's not 2 or 3 or 4 bullies. There's one. There's one strong character who's opinionated, who's loud, who has a voice, who throws their weight around, and who wants to be heard. In that situation, that's the person who has control.
Well, can I tell you something, Kira? That is true. But another thing that I've learned lately, what I absolutely hate, is passive aggressiveness.
Mm-hmm.
These people who are causing a shitstorm in the teacup, right? But when it comes to like the forefront, they kind of sit back. They have said everything about somebody to somebody else and cause this whole thing kind of ripple effect. And they sit back and they just watch the whole bomb blow up and let all them fight together. That's nearly worse. I nearly prefer a bully to come up to your face and say it to you than to have somebody who's going to bitch behind your back, get a whole crowd to start bitching about you, and they don't have the balls to say what they want to say about you, so they get everybody else to do the dance. And those people who are doing the dance are such idiots. I'm so sorry I'm coming across so cross today. Are such idiots, because like, how can they be played like a pawn in a game? Do they not see that?
And they don't, because they've been that person is a master manipulator, whoever that is. And sometimes aggressive bullies don't have that skill. They don't have the skill to be that underhand.
No, they're just more reactive.
They're more like, yeah, you're going to do what I say, and that's it, and I'm going to do this and you're going to do that. But a sneaky bully or a clever bully has manipulation skills, and they love that. They love to see that. And I've been on the receiving end of that 2 years ago. And it was like looking at literally a pebble drop. One person decided that they were going to have an opinion, and as it was like a domino effect, I had people come to me and give out about various things because this person had decided to spread a load of nonsense. And I had to deal with it in a very specific way, and I had to make very sure that I was minding myself through the whole process, because none of what was said had actually gone on. It was nuts. And watching at it from that point of view and having to take a step back and go, oh my God, people who are manipulative and who do things like that are the kind of people that I try and have as far away from me as possible, because I don't understand sideways. I understand direct and head on. We speak and we say what we feel in a moment, and we do it in an adult way because we're adults, we're grown-ups, we're not kids anymore. When we have an issue, we deal with it, and then we rectify it, and then if we need to say sorry, we say sorry from a real place of being genuine, and then we move on. We don't hit each other from like left of field with a curveball at the back of the head that you weren't expecting because of something that somebody has decided that they hold against us. And it happens all of the time.
Or to pretend that they're your friend and use that to their own advantage, but really they're not your friend. They're just using you to get what it is that they want. And then you find out that they sabotaged whatever it is that you're going for, whether it was another job or whether it's going higher up in the ranks. Or what if you're working in the likes of like a big chain supermarket or something like that, and you're getting bullied on the lower level of things, and you go to management, and management do nothing about it because that person is actually probably a good worker and is giving them results. So they're not going to deal with the bullying because they want that worker to work there. What do you do then?
And that happens all the time, and it happens much more closer to home than people would think. And it's continuous. And this is where this lack of support and this let's mind the bully, it's just, I don't understand it. And it happens in schools as well. These days, what happens when a kid is bullied? Now, I teach karate, so I see this from a very different point of view. And I've also seen it from being the person who stands up for those who were bullied. So I have parents come to me and they say, my kid is bullied and bullied in this way. And they come to me in karate and I teach them as much as I can, and they head back to school, and thankfully within a year of doing karate, it changes and they get to stand up for themselves. Here's the problem. If a bully, so I don't know what anyone's views on this are, but I always say to my son, never start a fight, but make sure you finish it, because you're not going to stand there and be a doormat. I am not having that, and it's all about standing up for yourself. I do not encourage violence in any way, shape or form, but if somebody punches Josh, I expect him to finish it. And that's not by saying, oh, excuse me, please, would you mind not hitting me again? And that's also not by saying, I'm going to run and I'm going to tell my mom. Because here's what's going to happen. He's going to come and he's going to tell me, and I've had this experience in a school locally, and I'm going to go and tell the school, and the school are going to do nothing, exactly nothing. So when the school doesn't react, when your friends don't react, when your parent doesn't have control, you're the only person that has control in a bullying situation. The only problem with that is, and I know that there's parents on here who would agree, is when a person who is bullied decides to react or act and finish it, who gets in trouble? The person who was initially the victim. And it's almost the exact same for adults. If you decide now that you're going to take a massive set against me and you're going to rip me to shreds and you're going to tell everyone in the locality that I'm whatever you think I am, and I decide to respond and I decide to come to you and I decide to say, how dare you? How dare you say and do X, Y, and Z? The very next phone call you'll make is to your solicitor to say, Ciara is harassing me. So even though my name is blackened because you've had an issue, you're the bully, I'm going to be taken to task because I had the cheek to stand up for myself. And sometimes that frustrates the hell out of me because it's almost like you can't actually do anything. But this is where groups of supportive women come into play. Because if we all understand the idea around mental health and mental awareness and mental wellness, and we're supportive of each other and we're minding each other, then when something happens to us solo and specifically, we can go to our group of friends and we can say, I can't believe this has happened. And that group as a whole will decide to act. That group as a whole will say to whoever is the bully, that's not okay. We're not bullying. We're saying as a whole, this isn't okay. We're not accepting it. What you've done is wrong. We understand that what Ciara has done is right. And we're telling you now that you need to stop this completely or there will be actions taken. As women, that's logical. Just step up for each other. Dragging each other down and making each other feel like we have to go and seek help is not okay. It is not okay at all.
You know, like in the animal kingdom, say they'll always go for the weaker of the pack and they'll just eventually just take them down. But the pack always turn around and they always try to support the weaker one. That doesn't happen with humans.
No.
And that's so sad. Like, it just frustrates me that they'll go for the weaker one and yet nobody will stand up for them. I don't, like, if we can't do this as adults, then how can we teach our kids then what to do? And you know, you said, like, where does all this come from? Does this come from parents not parenting properly? So, including myself, like, you know, to learn how we...
I love my phone.
In this, that, would you have, say, like a mother having her insecurities? I'm not saying all women do this, so don't bash me because of this, right? Say if a mother had insecurities and she puts that on the child, so she wants a child to excel and look the prettiest and be the most fit and be this and this and this and this and this, and then another child comes into the mix and she's like, oh, don't play with her, or she's not good enough, or she doesn't have beautiful hair like you, or whatever. Like, does that crap happen now still? And if it does, and then, you know, we've talked about this how many times, that most of the communication is through 80% like body language and gestures and everything else. Only 20% is actually verbal. So if they see us doing that, they're going to do that. Or do we teach them that consciously or subconsciously? And then therefore it's starting at a very young age, and that's in the play groups. That goes up into bigger schools. Then it kind of gets amplified then in bigger schools because the mother's like, now you really got to like stand your ground and you want to be the best public speaker and don't mind them and this, that and the other, and she's only this, that and the other, and her mother's only this, that and the other. Like, does it start from that so that it's ingrained so strongly into them that these women become a pack of bitches?
Well, I mean, the saying, what's it? Is it always blame the parents? Is the saying always blame the parents? You know, when a kid does something wrong and someone will come along, oh, you could always blame the parents, because obviously when you're parenting, it's your job to bring up responsible children and then adults. I think it's a social problem as opposed to just you as your parenting or me as my parenting. I think it's a social issue. Well,
when I was talking about that, it was like when they're quite young, like when they're younger kids. Like there could be an element of socialization and stuff like that and whatever, and there'd be teachers there, you know, to orchestrate some of the stuff and to dismantle some of the stuff that's going on. But at a very young age, I would say it has to be parenting or TV. What else could it be?
What I mean is, I don't mean socialization as in kids going out and what they see. I mean social disawareness or unawareness. So everybody doing the same thing seems to be okay because everybody's doing the same thing. So if you parent your kids that way and you teach your kids that they shouldn't play with Molly and Jack because Molly and Jack have nits and their parents don't look after them and they come to school in dirty clothes, right? And guess what? You haven't figured out that there might be something at the back of that there might be something, and rather than teach your child compassion, you've taught your child judgment. And I might be over here saying, well, we don't want to play with Thelma's kids because Thelma's kids are stuck up because Thelma's stuck up and she's so full of herself, and I don't want you to turn out like that. But guess what? I haven't looked at the back of that, and I haven't seen that there could be a reason that you're the way you're being and your kids are being the way that you're being because you're being the way that you're being. So none of us are looking at each other and going, give each other a break, support each other wherever possible, build each other up, raise each other up, and give each other a hand, and stop being judgmental. The social unawareness is, I'm going to teach my child how to make sure that they are doing the best that they can in life based on my rules and based on my judgments. And that's really hard because obviously we're growing a society of humans. And so when we're unaware of our behaviors, or we're not looking at the shit that we have and we're not willing to do anything about it because we don't understand that we even have it, then that's a massive knock-on effect to kids.
Yeah.
But it's just a massive amount of unawareness. And not only is it about unawareness, it's about people not being willing to stand up and say it's not okay. So it's like a vicious circle. It's just continually moving like this, and nobody is willing to address it. And so today, I'm addressing it. I'm addressing it and saying I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with women not supporting women. I'm not okay with bullying. I'm not okay that you think, whoever you are, that it's okay to pull anybody else down, make anybody's life a misery, trash anybody's reputation, lie about somebody else, think that you are big enough and the best person in the town, county, or country or world, that you have the right to tear somebody else to pieces. Because what you don't know is that person could be going through the hardest time imaginable. And that's on you.
Yeah. Because we always say nobody knows where the shoe hurts. And it's the truth.
Exactly.
And we don't know why somebody's reacting in such a way they're reacting. But then it is difficult to always try and think, oh, there's something else behind it. It's hard to, you know, if you're constantly met with somebody who's up against you all the time, it's hard to, like, you know, justify, oh, well, it's because they're going through this. Like, just because someone's going through something doesn't give them the right
100%.
to be an ass either. Do you know what I mean?
But we could, okay, so let's use us as an example. All of the stuff that's happened in our lives, right? And we will get into this at some point. We've kind of drip fed you bits and pieces. You don't need it all at once, like, honest to God.
She needs to drip feed me before
you'll be getting out the violins, honestly. But anyway, all of the shit that's happened in our lives, we, looking at it like this, just go with me on this, we could potentially be the biggest bitches that you guys have ever come into contact with. We could actually use everything that's happened, because it seems to be the done thing, and we could say, well, because we had such hard lives, this is why we're so horrible, and so you must feel bad for us. We could do that.
Yeah, we could.
But we're grown ass hoes, and we can choose how we're being. We can choose what we like to call it. We're not hoes.
You can choose yourself.
We choose. Like, I'm an adult. I became an adult at 18 years of age, but I chose how I was going to be in the world from a very, very young age.
You chose that your past circumstances weren't going to change who you were at the core.
And so did
that
you.
You wanted to have your core values and
standards,
I was just seeing if he's going to hit my car out there. I got sidetracked, sorry. Yeah, all of those things that you chose, that you weren't going to let your past, you as a person, be affected by your past. So you wanted to be the best person, the best self that you possibly can. Yeah. So that's amazing that you actually did that. Whereas other people would be like, thanks.
Welcome.
Okay.
Hey, Joanne. And hi, Sharon. I didn't say hi to you earlier on.
So other people would be like, oh, but because my husband's an ass, or because, like, you know, I got fed up as a child, or because I got put in a foster home, or whatever. All that's really awful, and all that, you know, our hearts do go out to you. But if you're in that, it's difficult. But if you've come away from that, you do have a choice every day to be the best person that you can be, and not let that stuff determine who you are, because then you were given that power still over who you are. So that's still ruling your life. And I know that's easier said than done. We've had so much work, well, not done to ourselves, but
Well,
done all, so much work.
Two done and everything.
Yeah, all that. You know, to kind of help us past to be the people that we are today, you know.
I meet people all the time and they have a story. We all have a story. Everybody
Yeah.
has a story. We have multiple stories. Everyone has multiple stories. And I meet people all the time, whether I'm working with them or just having the chats, and they start their story with, well, this happened to me when I was a kid, or this happened to me in my life. And I go, that's nice, but it just happened. So what are you going to do about it next? Now, obviously not with that little compassion, because I genuinely understand where people are coming from. But where I draw the line is, if you've had a shit life, but you're treating other people in a shit way, that's not okay. You've chosen to do that. We choose. We are powerful, intelligent human beings with an amazing thing called choice. And every minute of every day we can choose. And then people come to me and they went, oh, well, they had a bad life and that's what they've done, why they've done what they've done. No, I'm not accepting that. I'm not okay with it. If you're hurting somebody else, you're choosing to do it. It doesn't matter what's happened in your past.
I'm sorry. You know the way you were saying there that to be kind to everybody, because we don't know what they're going through, right? So people look at you and they don't say, okay, but you're so happy and you're so this and you're so that and you're so the other. But some might know your story and they could say, but it's okay for you, Ciara. You didn't go through this. And it's okay for you, Ciara, because, and it's okay for you, because like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You don't know my story.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how to even respond to that. You know, it's just another justification for them to be
whatever way,
not take responsibility for themselves because they've had whatever they've had going on in their lives.
100%. And it happens all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. I would be of the opinion that we can all give kindness all the time.
Yeah.
Here's the caveat. I will be super kind
What's
to
the
everyone.
caveat mean?
Like
Here is the point.
The question, the other side of it. I don't understand how to tell you what a caveat is.
I'll get it as you're
the
talking.
but. The but.
Okay.
Right. So I can be super kind, and I will always be super kind in every situation I'm in to everyone I meet, regardless of who that person is, where they've come from, what they smell like, what they look like, what they've eaten for dinner. I don't care. My first response is kindness. My first response is to give respect immediately, because I don't know who that person is or where they've come from. The caveat is, I will give respect. I will give kindness. That's my responsibility for me. I don't need to ask into what the other person has gone through. I don't need to know the story. I just know that I, myself, need and want to give kindness and respect. If you don't meet me with kindness and respect, I have two choices. I can choose to ask you why and get to the bottom of it, or I can choose to walk away. I didn't say I had three choices. I didn't say I had the choice to bully you because you didn't respond to me the way I wanted. At no point did I have that choice. I have two choices. I can ask or I can walk away. But when somebody meets you with a response that isn't kindness or respect, those are your choices. That's it. There you go. Don't be an asshole. You can ask how a person is doing. You can find out more about them, or you can walk away. Now, however, it is horrible when you are being consistently bullied, and like I said before, we're not there for that. Sure, we're not.
No. So if you guys want to let us know if you've been through bullying or how you've got over bullying, if you've been supported when you've gone through this, how you've been supported, just for us all to kind of come together and show support. And everybody has been through different things and everybody's results have been different. So if we can all share all of these things, then that might help even one person, and helping that one person might be the difference of, and I know you might think it's extreme, but being suicidal or not.
And you know something, I don't think it's extreme anymore. I was reading statistics last night on the UK, and 2 men an hour in the UK kill themselves. 2 men an hour, right? That was just something that popped up when I was reading it. I have no idea what the stats are around female suicide. I don't particularly want them to ever get any higher. I'd love them to start dropping from wherever they are right now. Maybe we'll do some research into that. However, me and Thelma have the opportunity to change things now, and we've been doing it for 7 weeks. We're not looking for accolades. We don't need a pat on the back. We're doing it because we see that there's things that actually need to be changed, and conversation is the start of all of that. You guys have the opportunity to do the same thing. You might not want to sit in front of a camera. You might not want to have a conversation like we're doing here. You might not want to be open about it. You don't have to be. we need to be more supportive. And so whatever way you can figure out to do that, stand up for someone who's being bullied, stand up for people who are being mistreated, and don't be the person that mistreats anybody. And
can I just say something?
Yeah.
Sometimes when a bully is talking about someone or somebody, and by you being in their company when they're bitching, is you being part of it. You don't have to be there. If you're afraid to stand up, then just walk away from the conversation. Don't engage, don't nod, all of this kind of stuff. And, you know, standing here like this, facing Ciara if you're the one being bullying, all of that is giving you airtime. Walk away, don't nod, don't agree, don't do anything. Just walk away from those kind of conversations, or just say, I'm not getting into this conversation. Just walk away, because otherwise you are being part of it. I heard Oprah Winfrey saying yesterday that particularly with men, not men, in a relationship, right? So I'm just saying man because I'm a woman, that they basically tell us who they are in the first few minutes of meeting somebody, and we're the same. And it's the same in regards to, say, bullying and that, right? If somebody is saying to you, oh, you know what, I hate doing this, or, you know, I'm a lazy person, then they're a lazy person. They're telling you they're lazy. Don't think to yourself, oh, you know, will you come to the gym with me, or I've signed us up for doing this. They're always going to say no, or it's going to sabotage, because they have told you that they're lazy. But we don't choose to hear these things. It's the same if somebody starts bitching about somebody. If you got to meet somebody and they're starting to bitch about somebody, then they're bitching about somebody. They're going to always bitch about people. And for whatever reason it doesn't matter. That's the type of person that they are. But we choose that we're going to ignore the fact that they've just been bitching about somebody. And then later on we worry about how come they're treating us the same way. So there's stuff that's in front of us all of the time that we choose not to see, or we choose not to hear. So if we can be a little bit more observant of our situations and people in our circles, then we can protect ourselves in these kind of environments. I know I'm coming across very passionate, but it's
That's
only
okay.
because
It's good to be passionate.
I can't stand all this bullying that's going out there, and some people might call it bullying, and some people might just say, oh, I'm just joking, or just having a laugh, or they know to me to be like this, you know, they know I'm not hurting their feelings, and it's not to insult them. Who says that? Just because they laugh at something and they pass it off doesn't mean that deep down they're not taking on all this stuff all the time. They just use that as an excuse to say, oh, but sure, Mary's great out crack, sure, she doesn't mind me. Mary, you don't mind me saying that, oh, you eat loads of cakes or whatever. Like, because Mary's probably not fucking answering back to you.
Look, Sia says, exactly, I lost a project because of that. I didn't want to be part of a bitchy team and I don't regret it. Yes, and we're all about that. That's awesome. That's real powerful. I don't like using the word empowerment. I don't know why, I just don't like it. That's real power. That's genuinely stepping into your own power and deciding
you take responsibility
for the world, not only yourself. Like, you've decided that you're not there for bitching, and so you've decided that you're going to step up. You've leveled up and you've decided that you're going to work and operate on a different level. That's incredible.
The sad thing about that is that see, you had to opt out of something that you could have been very good at, that you could have gained maybe more money for, or whatever the case it is, or got in better circles because of that, and you couldn't. So it's honourable in one sense that you pulled yourself away from it, but the fact that you had to even do it in the first place
shouldn't have to happen.
Shouldn't have had to happen.
And it is something that happens in work all the time. Like, it's a consistent in work. It's not something that happens sporadically. That if you don't toe the line and if you're not part of what's going on, then you'll lose out because of it. And your example earlier on showed that very quickly.
Which?
Of the hair salon.
Yeah.
Just not cool.
Yeah.
So first of all, thank you to everybody who's joined and who has commented and who has liked.
We go down through these just so
go
that we
for
can
it
have the
and see.
interaction. How do you do this?
You have to have control of my phone. It's because it's touch sensitive. So we said hi to Sharon and Roz and Karen and Phil and Vanessa. And Karen, thanks. You're great. So much truth in what you're saying. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, I mean, I think we've been through it from various different levels, but we love hearing from other people to tell us what you've gone through. So true. I experienced the worst bullying of my life from a woman and whom I supported so much. Yeah, it's so not cool, Sia. It really isn't. Joanne, hey Joanne, how's it going? Criticism shows your character. It really does. It's totally okay to criticize in a positive way when you're sitting with somebody in company and you're saying, you know, I know that you could have done that better, so would you be interested in trying it this way or that way? Not you suck and you're crap and you're brutal and you shouldn't do it, and done in a way that makes you feel, oh my god, I'm so defeated.
And there's ways of saying it too. You know, if somebody's done a particular thing, a particular task, and it's not up to your standard, you could say, you know, like there has to be some amount of good in the task they've done.
Yeah.
So you can say, look, I found all this was really beneficial, and I'm just wondering, if we tried it this way, like what kind of results would we get with that?
Yeah.
Rather than just bashing somebody.
There's always ways to do things. The bullied can be spotted in no time by a bully. It is like the bully can detect the victim so easily, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I do. Jennifer, hey Jen, how's it going?
Hey.
I was bullied at my previous job because I was ruining the tradition because I was overproductive. Oh yeah, that's a big one. You can't be too good at your job, because if you're too good at your job, you're showing up everybody else who isn't.
Yeah, so you need to dim your light for others, and that's a load of BS.
Well, yeah, and at some point, let's address it now. Never be less than because somebody else can't stand up to your standard. Be you 100% apologetically. Shine your light so bright that other people can decide if they want to come up to it.
And that other people can see in the dark. They might want to come up to you as well.
Exactly. Never drop to other people's standards. They're allowed to come up to yours though. That has the power. One who guides the other. Yeah, they do. But there's always one. One true bully who guides the other bullies.
It's
Absolutely.
so true to say, like, it is one bad apple in a box, because that bad apple has rubbed off the other apple next to it, and then it makes that one all bad, and then the whole box goes bad then.
You know something, now that I'm 41, do you know how much I regret that I didn't stand up for myself? But so I never have any regrets, and here's why. Because everything that's happened has happened, so we have no opportunity to choose it or to change it. So you may have not done that before, but you're doing it now. And that's all that matters, because we're living day to day. We're living in the moment. So fair play to you for doing what you're doing and standing up for yourself.
As Oprah says, you know better, so do better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is what happened to me, exactly as you said, the bullied. Same thing with my son. You're so right. My son had so much bullying, and when he reacted, the principal told me he should not react. This is the society we're living in. Sorry, it really is. We're living in a where the victim is wrong type of society. I'm sure there's a phrase for that, but I can't think.
We might do another one on bullying just for everybody.
I think it's a good idea. When we were younger, we always stood up for the most vulnerable in the class. I don't understand why nowadays it's so much different. Yeah, I was the same. Yep, it's always been like that.
It's a little bit more difficult nowadays because everything's on social media, so everything is instantaneous, you know, and so one message gets sent off to a whole crowd of things, and there's a whole ripple effect. So something that would have taken like maybe a week to get around to school now happens like in 1 minute. Do you know what I mean? And so it's a wider audience, so you can connect to like wider bullies around other circles. It's just difficult.
There's a great book about the victim mentality. It is called Shut Up, Move On. Great book. I like that. Thank you. And the most important is to give as much as you can and not more, because then you get drained. Exactly. I lost a project. You're so right. Constructive feedback is something totally different. Criticism and bullying. 100%. So please share the video and share it with women in your circles who you think can do with it. And don't be afraid. If you're in a circle with a woman who's a bully, guess what? This is a great video to send. A brilliant video.
100%.
Because she's going to comment and she might have a point to make and an opinion, and we're completely happy to deal with those comments and opinions anytime.
And if you want to send us a message privately and you want to keep your name private, but you still want to put it up on the page, then we can do that. We just won't put your name into it.
Exactly.
Or let us know your stories. So yeah, you can catch us on YouTube as well under Ciara Heenan, Thelma Gibbons.
Yeah, good old YouTube.
And I'm away on Friday, so we're trying to work around how we're going to broadcast on Friday. Anyways.
We'll have a surprise.
Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for interacting with us.
Yeah, thanks a million, everyone. Loads of love. Mwah. Have a great day. Bye, guys.
Bye.